Hey guys, AJ here, back with another live for you. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope that your week is going well. And I know that I always start the lives complaining about the weather, but guys, I live on the East Coast here. And I don't know if those of you guys who haven't seen the news, but there's a bunch of wildfires up in Quebec. And there's actually smoke down where I live near DC. It's absolutely insane. So I hope all you guys that are in the Northeast and in Canada, in the Quebec area, I hope you guys are all safe and wearing some masks if you go outside. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, not to get controversial right away, but if you wore a mask, it wouldn't affect you one bit.
yeah, really, right? but they put the actual pollution warning out there. So, Mr. Moji, what's going on, man? How are you? Hey guys, so we're gonna jump into this. We're expecting one more panel member to come up here, but guys, so Chris Mike, he is one of the guys that comes on my lives. His channel's coming up. I'll drop the link to his channel here in a little bit, and he actually brought this topic up, right? And he was talking about witchcraft and how it's the number one fastest growing religion among women, right? And this is all the crystals and incense and astrology and all that foolishness, right? And let me share my screen really fast, right? Okay. And guys, we all know this type of chick, right? We all know these bohemian, creative types, okay? These chicks right here. Someone like this. Someone like this. These free-spirited, bohemian, polyamorous crystals. All the girls that I say on my channel to avoid, right? And back when I was growing up in Seattle, I used to know these girls, right? These are all these girls that were these witches, these Wiccan witches, getting all these crazy tattoos and all this other stuff, right? But now, guys, this stuff is on the rise. And the saddest part is that this mindset, this goddess energy, boss chick type of stuff, it's infiltrating the Christian church and crazily the Muslim communities in America. So, guys, on the panel, I have my friend Alex. He was on the last Christian Feminism live. And yeah, Alex, if you want to introduce yourself, tell my subscribers a little bit about yourself. And yeah, man, where you stand on the whole thing.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Like I said, my name's Alex. I'm a Christian pastor in a small town in Iowa, so middle of the Midwest. So thankfully, part of that small town living is I get to miss out on a lot of this, though not completely.
You're not missing much, man. You're not missing much.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm a Christian pastor, pastor of a Bible-believing evangelical church. I believe the Bible is the Word of God, and I see stuff like this, and my first thought is, this is nothing new. This isn't something that the world has never seen before. And as we were talking about before we even got on, this going back to witchcraft or something like that. And what I was going to say is, in a lot of those articles that you sent, or at least one of them, the lady in it, one of her reasons was, I want to go back to the religion of my ancestors. And my thought was, well, maybe there's a reason your ancestors abandoned that. And it's because it's, utter nonsense, and because there's something better out there. But anyway, yeah, that's a little bit of who I am and kind of my perspective going into this. So,
and yeah, guys. So, like I said, I believe that once again we can't. Let's talk about the actual Christian feminism first, and we'll go to a good old Wikipedia for this, right? Now, guys, I'm not religious at all, so I don't have like a real religious stance, but being a red pill guy, I see a lot of my Christian friends and my Muslim friends, guys who stand on some type of faith, have a strong masculine frame. So while I'm not that much of a believer, I think that if you're pro male, if you believe in traditional gender roles and and making strong men for strong times, then you would agree with a lot of the masculine teachings of the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, or whatever. And one of the issues, so that's why you tend to see, like in Red Pill or in MGTOW, all of that, you actually see people of all faiths and all worldviews actually coming together to agree, like the environment, the society and the world is better when men do men stuff, women do women stuff, and all this Christian feminism stuff is breaking down what has made society work for thousands of years. And it doesn't, it's just logic. It's simple logic, right? And that's why all religions preach this, except this witchcraft stuff, right? Okay. And breaking that down, these gender roles and these traditional like standpoints is going to make society go down the toilet. I mean, Alex, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I agree. The reason there's so much degeneracy in our society is because we've looked at the things in the past traditionally aligned with Judeo-Christian values, yep, and society, well, not as a whole,
even but say Abrahamic values in general, yeah, right?
Sure, sure, yeah. We can go along with that, but yeah, our society, much of it is looking back on that and seeing that, well, that is why we are so oppressed. That is why we haven't advanced to where we could be now. And if we can just cast these shackles off of us, we'll be so much better off for it. And that's, why is our society going the direction it's going, is because it's seen those things that have allowed for so much freedom, allowed for so much growth and liberty and prosperity. And we've said, let's get rid of these and trade them for something else. And
well, here's what I think it is. And we can move, and I'll introduce Chris in a little bit, because I honestly believe that, okay, this would be like the men are the horse and the women are in the wagon, right? But every now and then the horse has to turn around to the people in the wagon and make them think that they're pulling too. And when the horse should be pulling the damn wagon, it's wasting time turning to the people in the wagon and saying, wow, is it hard for you guys to pull too? When the horse is doing the pulling. And that's the men that are doing the pulling. But now, unlike any other time in history, men in the West have to tell the women that aren't doing the pulling, we have to placate to them and understand their feelings and how hard that they have sitting around doing nothing. So guys, we have Chris Mike. He just joined us here. Chris is a YouTuber also. He's been on my lives before. Check out his channel. I'll drop the link to his channel. And Chris, introduce yourself, because this whole damn thing was your idea in the first place.
Oh my God, man. How's it going, guys, man?
Good.
Also, Alex is the pastor. Am I correct?
Yes.
In this?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, man. This is, it's really interesting, because it's getting to a point where it's obvious now, and they're not even, people are not hiding who they are really anymore. So, I thought, it was really important, to talk about the growing, the number one growing religion amongst, not necessarily just amongst feminism, but like really women in general. Yep. I look at witchcraft as it's almost kind of like the RP, like, I guess, like a female version of the RP. I guess it's just something that a lot of women know about, but they're not gonna, talk about in the open, really.
Yeah.
But
but now they're actually talking about it in the open.
Yeah.
They have conventions. I have a video of these women who are doing this, right? Let's talk about Christian feminism. So before we read the definition, I'm going to go Alex, Chris, and then myself. What is your definition of Christian feminism? And anyone in the chat, if you're a Christian, Muslim, Israelite, what do you think that the feminism in your religion looks like? If you can conceive of such a thing.
Oh, does Alex? You said Alex first, right?
Alex, can you go first? I guess Christian feminism would be taking. Whoops, sorry, got a crying baby in my arms. Christian feminism, as I would understand it, would be taking feminism as we know it, but then Christians attempting to read the Bible in a way that affirms feminism, right? So trying to turn the Bible into a feminist book, eradicating gender norms and things like that, saying those are just things of the past, and really just trying to, really just twist the scriptures to make them teach feministic things when in reality they don't. So that's how I would understand Christian feminism from my point of view.
Okay. Gangish is in the building. Tom's wonderful. What's going on, guys? What is going on? We have the Breakfast Club in this bad boy. What's going on, man?
Yes, sir.
Christian feminism, my friend.
Okay, so you can tell a Christian feminist if they don't know these verses. I got 1 Corinthians 14, verse 34, verse 35. It says here, XXs should remain silent in churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. If they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husbands at home, for it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in church. And it's a similar verse in 1 Timothy verses 2, verses 11 through 15. Now, in terms of just the definition of Christian feminism in and of itself, it's basically almost their own version of, when they talk about whitewashing, but I guess it's their little version, I guess, of whitewashing.
Would it be fem washing or
fem washing?
Fem washing.
Fem washing, I guess. It's basically the same thing that they accused, the mysterious white man of doing, but basically they're doing it themselves, basically trying to remove any sort of masculinity or anything. Well, they don't. Basically, they still want the responsibility of men. They want the men still doing all the dirty work, but none of the authority. Basically,
yeah.
I'm trying.
Or they want the authority, but none of the responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically,
yep.
Another version.
So, guys, to me, Christian feminism is basically women who don't want to be held accountable. So they still want the community part, right? They still want to go to church and dress up and do all the stuff and have the community part, but they don't want to be held to any standard. They don't want to be accountable. No rules, no nothing. And you notice how all the parts that they take out are the parts that involve them answering to someone. That's the first thing to go, right? That's what I believe Christian feminism is. And it all started with the fact that it used to be that, there were scarlet letters and all these other things. And where if you messed up as a man or a woman, there was a price to pay. But over time in the West, people don't want to be held to the standards and don't want to see any consequences. So the main drive of Christian feminism and all this witchcraft is to just get rid of all of that, while still being able to sit around and drink boxed wine and all that other crap that they have, right? So, guys, okay, Wikipedia here. Christian feminism is a school of Christian theology which seeks to advance and understand the equality of men and women morally, socially, spiritually, and leadership. And in leadership from a Christian perspective. Now, Alex, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. In Christianity, everyone's created in the image of God, right? So, how much more equal do you need to be, right?
Yep.
Sir, am I wrong?
No, not wrong at all. What the Bible teaches is, we are equal in value, but it doesn't mean that our roles are the same. Otherwise, there would be no male or female. There'd just be one gendered thing that can reproduce all on its own, and there would be no.
I'm sorry, Alex.
Right?
So Tom's wonderful says, "Well, there's no women in heaven." Because check Revelation 8:1, and there was silence in heaven for a half an hour.
Well, I'll say there were only redeemed women in heaven.
Oh man!
That's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded.
Okay, Christian feminists argue that contributions by women and the acknowledgement women's value are necessary for a complete understanding of Christianity. Christian feminists believe that God does not discriminate on the basis of biologically determined characteristics such as sex and race, but created all humans to exist in harmony and equality, regardless of race or gender. Christian feminists generally advocate for anti-essentialism as part of their belief system, acknowledging that gender identities. See, they're already messed up, right?
Oh Lord.
Do not mandate a certain set of personality traits. And here's the funniest part about this. They don't acknowledge that gender identities do not mandate a certain set of personality traits. Isn't that funny how that used to be the gender ideology, but now because of the LDHDTV group in Transformers, they say that if a boy likes dresses, he's automatically the opposite. He's a transformer.
Oh yeah.
And if a girl likes blocks, she's more the beast of the eye too. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Okay. So Christian feminists generally advocate for, their major issues include the ordination of women, biblical equality in marriage.
Oh dear. that's basically unfair.
Alex, hold your lunch down, buddy. I'm sure.
Fortunately, it's not stuff I haven't heard before.
Recognition of equal spiritual and moral abilities. Baby deletion rights, because, of course, integration of gender-neutral pronouns within the readings of the Bible.
Oh, man. It's basically feminism. You don't even have to put Christian feminism. Just put feminism.
It's just feminism pretending to be Christian or taking the label Christian.
How would that even work? You know what? I bet some knucklehead out there is trying to write a Z-Zimzer Bible.
Oh, there already is, bro. There already
is.
Yeah, no, those are out there.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's there's somebody from the Nation of Islam put me on game. It's called the Queen. It's literally called the Queen James Bible because
but if it doesn't use gender neutral, I mean, if it uses, how is it the Queen's? What?
Yeah, because basically they believe that I guess King James was a homosexual, so they I guess they basically took that interpretation and then they made their version of the Queen.
Guys,
you can
this
look it up.
This is how crazy that this is, right? Grumblers, what's up, man? Like I said, I'm not religious, and this is crazy to me. So I can imagine, like, someone like Alex, or a lot of my Christian friends, or even my like Muslim friends and stuff that are hearing people who were advocating for this foolishness. And here's the thing that I had said. I believe it was on the stream with Chris and I's stream and Alex's stream. Why call yourself Christian then? Why? Just call it Fleebleflor, or just make up a new word. But why do you have to do this? I don't understand.
It's like, how like Candace Owens, like she's a feminist. She actually refers to herself as
she's like an OG, like second wave. That men and women should have a lot of the same opportunities. Okay, like I can maybe I can maybe understand that. You know what I'm saying? But when you honestly say that men and women are interchangeable, that's crazy. That's clown world, man. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, they feel that way until they hear a bump in the night, and then they're sending their husband downstairs to check it out.
Or it's the place over near over there where they're fighting the one guy. That's last name starts with a P, and all the men had to leave. Excuse me, all the women had to leave, and all the men are fighting over there now.
I saw early on when that was kicking off, I saw a really, really funny story where one of the Transformers, because of how he identified himself, tried to leave. And they said,
they were like, "No, you strange man, get off train."
Your fantasy is over now, so we need to get back to reality now that people are actually getting shot. So
here we go. Christian feminists. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Within the readings of the Bible and the search for a feminine or gender transcendent divine. What does that even mean? Okay, Christian feminists often draw on the teachings of other religions and ideologies in addition to biblical evidence. Boom, right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, they're really just creating their own God and saying that it's the God of the Bible. That's all they're doing.
Crazy. And other Christian-based texts throughout the history that advocate for women's rights. Now you notice how it's a Christian-based, right? The term Christian egalitarianism is often preferred by those advocating gender equality and equity among Christians who do not wish to associate themselves with the feminist movement. Look at that, you guys. Look at that.
You mean the trad cons? No, I'm playing. No, I'm playing, man.
Look at that. Women in church leadership. And here's the thing. I know a guy, and he's Catholic. And his aunt is like a hardcore, bra-burning feminist, right? Who like is in her 60s and old, you know what I mean? And never got a husband or whatever. And she's Catholic, and she's like, yeah, there should be, women as Catholic priests, and the church needs to be more progressive. That'll be the day.
Well, give them another century.
Oh man.
Oh,
the direction they're going.
Yeah.
So, okay, here we go. So I have a video here. Let's see. This is from a channel called, let me see, Revive Our Hearts. And look in the description. I think that all of us, to one degree or another, are feminists. What? Learn what Mary means and just how feminism affects your life. Look at that. Wow. Okay.
Fair use.
Has given us a whole mindset that personal authority, and particularly authority of women, is the most important thing. And instead of bowing to the authority of God, we take authority into our own hands and say, this is the way I want to be. This is the way I want my world to be. This is the way I want men to be. And this is the way I want God to be.
Hear me roar.
Damn what God says. I'm going to create my own reality. Guys, please,
man.
guys, don't put any type of... Guys, please don't put the ISIS word or any of that stuff in the chat. I do not want this stream to get shut down. So, guys, no swearing and no groups that might be doing bad stuff to people overseas, any of that stuff. If you got to say Germans of that certain time period that are bad, please say Germans of that time period that are bad, okay?
You know Tom isn't lying. I just read his comment. He's not lying.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, shoot. That's crazy.
Well, something that's interesting about what she said is, if you go all the way back to the beginning of the Bible, the book of Genesis, that's the lie from the garden, where Satan says, you shall be like God. And that's what she's saying this feminism is. It's not God who gets to decide things. I get to decide things.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, and Chris, Alex, anyone that's in the chat, even Emoji Mr. all the Muslims in the chat, all the Christians in the chat, have you noticed that they're saying, oh, this is not about the Bible or the Quran anymore. This is about a relationship with God, right? So they're saying to just skip the document that outlines what that relationship is and just do your own thing. Have you guys heard that? Well, it's about a relationship.
Wow.
And all they're saying is damn the rules, damn the expectations, damn all of that. I'm going to be able to do whatever I want, so whenever that I want, and then whoever that I pray to is this cosmic Santa Claus that's just going to come and make my life better.
Man, the more I see this, the more I realize why Uganda just recently just did like a hard, I completely understand it.
This is not a priority of the
Yeah.
people of Uganda.
Yeah, so people have questions why they made like a hard stance. You know what? We are not putting we're not pushing that alphabet stuff on our kids. We're making this because once you let, one thing go, that's when, the avalanche, starts
And people
happening.
might be asking, AJ, Chris, how does this tie into the red pill? And the thing is, once you take the power away, like once you, how can I put it? Once you take a lot of the decision making away from those that have a strong, logical, masculine frame, this type of crap happens. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
If you don't have men of any, Christians, Muslims, whatever, any guy that can stay in his masculine frame and actually live as a strong, assertive, masculine man, then all of a sudden foolishness like what this woman's saying is going on. And I wonder if she's a pastor. Because guys, the only thing that I say is worse than a female therapist is a female pastor. Guys, don't ever see a female therapist. If you're feeling down and you feel like you got to talk to someone, and I know that there's not a lot of male therapists anymore, but you better go through that phone book. You better go through Google and find a male, because they'll actually help you solve your problems. And I'll be like, if I ever did decide to go to church, I'm not going to one with a female pastor. That's for sure.
According to the Bible, there's no such thing as a female pastor.
That's what I always say. Alex, thank you very much.
But most of the simps are afraid to to be like, why do we have a female pastor? Yeah. Like most men are not going to be like, doesn't, I forgot what verse that is. I literally had it on my phone, but there's
Second Timothy or First Timothy. Yeah. Chapter 2, where women don't have the authority, aren't to have authority over men.
Yep, yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, First Timothy.
Here's the thing: all of religion, all of society talks about the masculine burden of performance. Okay, meaning if Alex doesn't work, his family doesn't eat. Mm-hmm. If the rest of us men take a day off, society crumbles. Why do you think so? So my nephew, he just graduated from high school, and he's like a little bit stressed out because he has to wonder what his next move is, because he has to work. Because if he doesn't work, he doesn't eat. That's a masculine burden of performance. Okay, how can a woman that's never experienced that masculine burden of performance teach us anything about anything? I'm waiting. Someone in the chat, please answer that question. I won't hold my breath, right?
Well, what's the the pattern of history, the pattern of scripture, and we don't even really have to take scripture into account. You look at any society pre-21st century, and they recognized this, they lived by it, right? The man is the head of the household, he is the provider, that's his obligation to them. So
Yep, that's true, and we're perfectly fine with that.
And again, going all the way back to the beginning, the book of Genesis. What's it say? The woman is to leave her father and mother and cling to her husband, right? So showing that one way or another, she's either going to be under the care of her father or under the care of her husband.
Yep.
The idea of women going out on their own simply for the sake of it is foreign to scripture.
Daniel says even the bad guys in Afghanistan aren't this heretical.
No, man.
And I think that is a little bit true. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But no, but all in all though, you got to think that people they look, we'll finish this, but the people that have to do this type of mental gymnastics in their brains to still call themselves Christians, just call yourselves something else, right? I just don't understand. And then you guys have seen people throw anytime that a woman is in charge, things are better. No, because they've actually ran studies and it shows. Guys, drop a like on the stream, the Cash App at the bottom. I'm still demonetized until next week, so feel free to donate. They actually did a study and it showed that with Europe and in Africa and stuff, the queens were more likely to wage war than kings. And that's with there being less queens. And then people want to throw Uganda, New Zealand during the cough. Oh, well, they handle it good. And they have a female prime minister, but men run the damn country. How about that? Any order that she gave or whatever was carried out by men. Clown world. Okay.
Oh, did you see that symbol there?
All of
oh,
us,
Lord.
to one degree or another,
which one?
are feminists. All
Like,
of us, to one degree.
True momentum, like right before.
All of us,
sorry.
Right before.
Sorry, guys.
You see, like, that's not even like you might as well just call
all
it.
of us, to one degree or another, are feminists because feminism has been so mainstreamed into our society,
and that's a good thing,
that we just accept it as normal. It's the way that we think. It's what we see when we go shopping in the mall. It's what we hear about what women.
Look at those eyes. Look at the madness in those eyes, and she's got the Karen cut too. Come on,
man, that shit. Soccer, like I played soccer when I was a kid. This is the exact,
the crazy soccer mom.
This is the crazy soccer mom look right there. No cap.
Should be like when we watch a movie. It's in our books. It's in our education system. It has been so thoroughly integrated.
She should just call the speech everything that's wrong with today's society. Oh man! All right, here. Matter of fact, guys. Here's everything that's wrong with America today.
It's what we see when we go shopping in the mall. It's what we hear about what women should be like when we watch a movie. It's in our books. It's in our education system. It has been so thoroughly integrated that our whole culture screams out that feminism is what we should believe. Feminism is normal. When Betty Friedan started the feminist movement in the United States in the early 60s,
God.
She started it by asking the right questions.
First of all, it started way before that with those suffragettes who were racist as racist can be. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's so funny that if you talk to any woke white chick and you actually Google and pull up all of what they said and you say that feminists were actually started by a bunch of redneck racist, I don't want to say redneck, sorry guys, but very discriminatory, hateful people. And now, Chris, people in the chat, have you heard this thing where they're like, oh, the feminist movement was actually started by black trans women? What is going on? Like,
I've never heard that, but sheesh, the excuses that
I know,
like that's not even true.
I know, man. I know.
Well, it's the opposite effect of what you talked about earlier, the whitewashing of history, the feminization of history, and now there's so many especially the black trans community that want to look back and basically say, actually, no, that was us, rather than just simply allowing history to be history.
Yep.
And I think part of it is because they buy the idea, well, that's what the white people did. They went back and rewrote history. So what's wrong if we do it too?
Exactly.
Well, I can tell you that in the DMV here, like places like Atlanta now, you see all these black women wearing weaves and tattoos and talking all deep and dropping the N-word. You know, there are guys who go to the club, pick up what they think is a woman.
Ooh, man.
They go back to the hotel. They reach down there and they find out that
you've been had, you've been took, you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
AJ, are you on Instagram like heavy now?
I have an Instagram. I just need to start posting stuff on it. Chill vibes. What's up, man? Yeah, that's one of those things where I just haven't had a chance. But I am on Instagram. I just need to start putting my content.
I literally made a post. It was a girl, basically. A dude that claims that he is a woman, and he basically videotaped himself sucking off dudes
giving mouth stuff.
Or so to unknowing DoorDash drivers that was giving him food, and
oh no,
and he literally posted it on his, I guess, Instagram / OnlyFans page, and I'm like,
no,
and I literally and I made that post, and I'm like, technically, that's
that's
can I say
grape.
the word? Exactly,
that's grape.
That's what I made the video. I was like,
Wow.
that's grape. Like, and they're just he's just posting it, and just nobody, no activists, no Me Too, none of that. M2, you know.
I can tell you this much: 2 things. One, there's an uptake when they say that there's an uptake in violence against transformers. Oftentimes, it's because they play with dudes who are straight. Guys, you can't play with people like that. You can't do it. I don't advocate violence at all, but remember, sex and all this is a very primal thing with us. The lizard brain kicks in. You never know how anyone, male or female, is going to react, because they even had a transformer that was doing this to women. She would put them, they would put blindfolds on them and then use plastic banana on them, and then they found out after the fact that it wasn't even really a guy. So,
oh man.
And then the other thing is I forgot the other thing, but either way, let's see what this
getting at what this lady's saying, though, it's interesting. She says that, society, feminism is the norm in society, right? If you get out of the public school system these days, you will have no other normal in your mind than men equals women.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's how everything must be. But I think she's pointing out, as far as human history goes, that's a relatively recent thing.
Well, the reason why is because it's a mindset of abundance, right? And anyone in the chat that's from a different country, that might be from Africa, Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, let us know. You can't have feminism in a country where you don't know where your next meal is coming from, or you have to do labor to eat. You can't do it. You can't.
Yeah, we're rich enough in this country that we can make up anything we want and run with it. So,
Raja Gamer, what's up, man? I don't know what the Alaskan pipeline is. I have to Google that, but let's just see what this knucklehead had.
And the question was this: what is it that will bring women joy and fulfillment? What is it that will bring?
I say, guys, another thing about feminism is it has to be mainstream society to get men to actually do it, because it doesn't work without men. See, the suffragettes got a bunch of simp dudes that actually help them, right? And every single right that these feminists have got have been given to them by men, and their values are enforced by men. That's the craziest part. It doesn't even work on its own. If you line up all of the traditional men and then all the feminist women, who do you think is going to win in a Sparta 300 style fight? You know what I'm saying? We won't lose. How about that? So,
purpose and meaning in life. The answers that feminism provided took woman on a very different path than the path that the Bible would have for her. We live in a world that is so broken.
Hold on.
Today's women want to know.
At least she just admitted it, right? Hold on. Listen.
The impression I'm getting
is so broken. Today's women want to know.
Where'd he go?
Took woman on a very answers that feminism provided took woman on a very different path than the path that the Bible would have.
There you go. There you go.
The impression I'm getting from this video is that she's actually critiquing it. That's what it seems like is going on. I don't think she's actually promoting it. I think she's critiquing it.
Is she?
That's what I've gotten from it. Yeah. She's just being completely open about it. Yeah, this is not the path the Bible has. I mean, Christian feminists would at least try to pretend that that's what the Bible teaches, right? But I think what she's doing is she's coming in and critiquing it.
Let me look in the comments here.
I could be wrong. I don't think so, because that's. Wait. because I saw that transition where it had like the feminist symbol in the title. It seems like she's defending it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, I'd say
Okay,
if she's defending it, she's doing a pretty terrible job of it.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be the first time.
I know it wouldn't be the first
Literally.
first time.
World that is so broken. Today's women want to know what to do to make relationships work. We have so many women that are walking around broken, hurting, aching. The promise that promised them fulfillment, that whole question that they were seeking to answer, what is it that will bring me happiness? What is it that will bring me joy?
You know what? I think Alex
Feminism
is right.
said it's by throwing off all boundaries, throwing off authority, grabbing things, taking control, going out there in the workplace. But those things have not answered the deep yearnings of women's hearts. And so I want women to realize that what they are looking for is really a spiritual quest, that their heart's desire can only be filled in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and living according to the designs of God. That yearning, that longing for that something more is not going to be filled by external things, and it will not be filled by the formula that we've been given by feminism.
There you go. Oh, well, that was a twist. I don't know why they keep having like that sign there.
I think what she's trying to do is basically say it's not completely feminism. You have to combine feminism and Christianity to give you the perfect answer. I could be wrong if I'm
that's not the impression I got. It seems like she was critiquing it and saying, yeah, feminism strays from the Bible, feminism strays from Christianity, and then she's saying it's no wonder women are so miserable now because they've gotten away from what the Bible teaches. So
well, this is the other one that I found. Was Jesus a feminist?
Oh, geez.
All right, let's see if this goes left or not. You guys, drop a like on the stream.
People trying to get along with the Bible have a hard time nowadays in this workaday world because it doesn't go the way we think it should go according to our standards of equality and respect and whatever else. So a big problem that we have with the Bible is that Jesus does not comply with the laws that we have made and the ideas we have about career equality or social equality or anything else. And so it becomes a big problem that there are no women among the disciples. So we explain that by saying, well, you know, poor Jesus, he is stuck living in AD 30. And
guys, so for those of you guys that just joined, right? The issue that we're having, and the reason of this stream that we have a pastor, a guy who's not religious, me, and Chris. What is your religious affiliation?
Oh, I have zero, affiliation, but though I do respect. I have more respect, honestly, for, the Nation of Islam more than, the Christians. But I do have a Christian background because, like, my whole family, is Christian, basically.
But this is a Red Pill Pro Male channel. And I see more women using twisted versions of Christianity, Islam, witchcraft to prove all these crazy feminist points. Okay? If you look at, there's all these books and all this stuff, and you look at all these Joel Osteens and all these pastors now, this prosperity gospel foolishness that encourages women to just go out and hoe around and have bastard children and do all this other stuff, and that everything is hunky-dory. Now, just say you want to do that, but don't try and twist religions and stuff to try and make society worse. And that's what I lead this into the red pill by saying that, Okay.
Like, what could he do, right? His hands are tied. It would not be okay to have women. This is so wrong-headed if you look at everything else Jesus did.
What?
He is living in a cult.
Hey, Alex, I don't think that this one is... I don't think that this one is critiquing in the same way that the other one was.
I don't think so.
Sure,
I think
where
we're about to get a ahead, sorry.
like I said, Alex, just try and hold your lunch down, okay?
you can't touch a sick person. You can't interact with various sinful people. He is living in the land of the Pharisees, where everybody is not just keeping the law, but going steps and steps and steps beyond the law to avoid the risk of violating the law. If that were a point that Jesus wanted to make, he would have had 6 female disciples, just like he touched sick people and broke all the ceremonial laws that were so dear to the followers of ceremonial law. He had no qualms about violating people's expectations, violating cultural norms, and treating the law like it belonged to him, which it does. That is what Jesus shows with all of those violations that he makes of the law.
Gee, hey Alex, who was the law given to?
Well, the law was given to Israel, particularly, right? Mm-hmm. So the law was given to Israel, and Jesus, something people like to accuse Jesus of is breaking the law. The reality, he didn't break the law. Jesus came, he fulfilled the law perfectly and completely. The thing that he broke were the extra made-up rules of the Pharisees. Yeah. And this woman, she said something interesting that Jesus had no problem breaking the rules. So Jesus would have had no problem if he was a feminist having 6 men disciples, 6 women disciples, right? And people make the same arguments. It's like, well, and we don't really need to get into this discussion, but a lot of people will like to say, well, Jesus was pro-homosexuality, right? Well, no, Jesus never said anything positive about it. In fact, he affirmed the Old Testament law. And it's the same thing with feminism. If Jesus was going to introduce something new or introduce something different, then he would have had no problem taking 6 men and 6 women and saying, just put an equal sign between the two, and and Christianity would be the greatest proponents of feminism. But
what's crazy is that Jesus came to fulfill that he was the ultimate sacrifice. So that's the sacrificial laws are gone. But but you still, like, people say that the New Testament means that like all the laws are gone. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
I know this.
Yeah, there are ceremonial laws that set the people of Israel apart, but the laws distinguishing men and women, that's built into creation. That has nothing to do with ceremonial law or anything like that. Right? That's just built into creation, something Jesus recognized. One of the many quotations of the Old Testament from Jesus is, "Have you not read that he made them from the beginning, male and female?" Yep. What are you supposed to do with that? So
it's funny. I was gonna say, Alex, they're gonna come and fire you. Oh wait.
No, man, that's the great part about my job is I can say stuff like this, and I don't need to be afraid of that. So,
and what he also shows is what doesn't change. What doesn't change is that men and women are in the same ordered relationship that they were from creation, that they were from the covenant with Abraham, that they were from the giving of the law to Moses and Israel. Jesus does not have to play by our rules, and he demonstrates that by not only what he does do, but by what he doesn't do. And so we don't see women in official positions during Jesus' ministry. We do see that women like him. They not just follow him around, and they're not just groupies, but they actually monetarily even support his ministry. They bankroll him. They want to get this done. And there is no way that women would be doing that if you were treating them like garbage, if you were saying that they were second-class citizens. Anyone who can come away from the Gospels with this mishmash of, well...
Wait, that's a hell of a reach.
Wait. She's saying other people have a mismatch?
Well, the caricature that's often put on Christianity is that the Bible, the Bible teaches women are inferior and things like that. No, the Bible doesn't teach that at all. And that's why we see things like, Jesus has no problem having women who help him monetarily. The church has no problem with men and women in it, but they recognize the different roles that each of them have. Those roles don't go away.
And it's funny how these roles all around the world, all throughout history, all religions are fundamentally the same. Isn't that funny? How that is? You know what I mean? Except in the West and in the last 50, 60 years, clown world. Now, guys, here, I have an article here. Oh, all right, okay. And I'm going to ask Alex and Chris and anyone else in the chat, and I think I'm going to drop the link here. So for anyone else who wants to join, but just try and be serious in the conversation. Guys, think about how crazy this feminist stuff has to be to actually infiltrate not only Christianity, but there's Muslim girls now that are like on this whole strong, independent, don't need no man, blah blah blah. It's like, how does that work? Like, I don't understand. Where do you think that that religion as a whole is gonna go if this keeps going on? And then also, like, other than a cash grab on these churches' part, what do you think that the purpose of this all is? Whoever wants to go first.
I mean, it is a cash grab. It kind of is in terms of like basically, and especially I like that you mentioned the even the Muslims, because I remember in 2015 I had my Instagram, right? And I remember even seeing then in a lot of Muslim women's profiles, I would see Muslim feminist a lot, I would see that a lot, even in like 2015. So it's something. And on top of that, I remember Riza Islam from the Nation of Islam basically said that there are people overseas, they are now slowly, this was in like 2017, basically accepting, LGBT, alphabet community stuff, and it slowly leaks in. Unfortunately, it's gonna spread eventually, and basically the countries that can stop it are stopping it now. Basically, like Uganda, Saudi Arabia, so forth and so on. So the countries that have the power to put a stop to it are stopping it, right now. So it doesn't end up turning into America, the clown show that we have on right now.
Yeah, and to answer the question about why are so many churches adopting this, I think a big part of it is wanting to look good in front of the culture. Yeah, that's the way the culture's going.
Facts. That is facts right there.
And in a lot of churches, they're ashamed of what the Bible actually teaches. They think it needs to be updated for a modern audience, I guess. And they take this feminist stuff, and something that all churches are facing is low attendance, right? There's not nearly as many people going to church, and cultural Christianity is going by the wayside. And churches see this and they think, well, if we lighten up on some of the things that the culture doesn't like, then maybe we can get more people in. And I can't say it's been all that successful of a strategy. All they've really done is mark themselves off as compromisers. So that's at least some of my perspective on it.
Maybe, and also I think maybe also because social credit score. Did we talk about social credit score on this on the stream? But it's coming. So
that's a big part of it too.
So say that again.
Social credit score. Did we ever talk about that? So that could be a part of why the churches are slowly adopting that, because social credit score is going to be a big deal in the future. And like not even like it's happening right now.
Yeah, it's happening now. Yeah, especially with and that's why so many of these big companies are doing the things that they're doing, right?
Yeah, Target, all those people.
Anheuser-Busch, they missed out on a massive market share, but in the end, it's probably going to be worth it because they're going to be able to keep getting the loans that they can get because they've got a good score. So,
I agree. And you know, people don't understand, like, with those, when those companies do stuff like that, that's like on purpose. They literally just put it out there, and they know they're gonna lose financially, but eventually they're gonna still keep getting. They still get financial support from somewhere, whoever's pushing this, you know,
But you know what
ideology in the
though?
first place.
They are learning in real time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this Anheuser-Busch thing is happening in real time. Dude, they lost the number one spot to Modelo. Oops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is the biggest self-owned since that Gillette commercial back in the day.
Well,
And then
go ahead. Sorry.
Target doesn't have a what's it called? A parent company. So Target's in some real ish, you know? What were you saying, Alex?
Well, I was going to say, I think with Anheuser-Busch, they didn't expect as much of a reaction as there would have been. I think a lot of the conservatives and just the normal people who are against this stuff, they saw this as a target that they could rally around and say, hey, no more of this. I can just as easily switch to drinking Coors Light, right? I'm tired of these companies pushing this stuff in my face. And I think they might have expected a small backlash, but they didn't expect the more organized resistance to it. So,
well, but the thing is, look, if you want to advertise, advertising 101. It doesn't take a marketing class to truly understand that you have understand the brand.
mm-hmm.
Why Bud Light? Why? Even an idiot can tell you that would be like I don't know, you know, the children's hospital commercials having strippers in them or something. What? That's not the brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about? And a lot of it is, guys, whoever wants to come on up and drop in the link, because we're gonna talk about witchcraft here in a second. Well,
Tom basically gave the answer. Do you see the chat? Tom basically gave the answer right there.
Yeah.
It's like they do that stuff on purpose. Like they knew, like, that's why I kind of have a different take on it. Like, they know what's gonna happen. Like, so they purposely put this stuff down. They know the reaction they're gonna get.
I think that what's been happening is you have a lot of college educated, because most marketing and business is women now in college. You have a bunch of white middle class, upper middle class, college educated, uber liberal women. And they grow up in woke land. They go to high school in woke land. They go to college in woke land. They do their internships in woke land. And then they come out of Harvard Business School or marketing school, whatever, and straight into a major corporation. And they have never gone to anywhere else in America other than LA and New York and talk to people.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then they think the rest of the world looks like them, but then they realize there's not nearly as big a market share as there are of just normal people who are quiet, right?
Yeah.
If you look on the internet, if you look at the volume of stuff that you see on the internet, you'd think half the people on there are part of the alphabet soup community or something like that. Yeah. So you'd think, if I can get them as part of the market share, but then you realize it's a much smaller percentage of the population.
And they don't show up to buy things anyways.
That, and they don't have nearly as much expendable income, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's a part of it too.
Yeah, and also, Alex, you brought up a great point about the silent majority. You know, if you let the commercials fool you, you'd think that a lot of black men are part of the alphabet community. When you actually look at the statistics for it, it's actually like, when I saw the statistics, I was shocked. I was like, it's like Latino men are number one in the alphabet in the G community, right? It's Latino men number one, Asians number two, and I think Caucasian men number three. I think like black men were like number four. I was like, wow. Like, but if you look at all the commercials, most of the black men that you see on TV are think
about how crazy that this is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You notice in car commercials now, though, even truck commercials, that the women are always driving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it, guys.
Yeah.
Wait, like, what's it, guys? I don't know. Alex, you are married. Like, guys, we've all been in relationships. What percentage of the time did you drive?
Most of it.
Thank you very much.
Getting back to your point, though, you said something interesting about how black men are the lowest percentage, but that's what you always see in commercials.
Exactly.
Well, that's who they're trying to advertise to.